Good morning, all. Good morning, Ojen. Good morning. Test every. Let me test everything first, really quickly. Maybe you guys can tell me as well. Okay, 1 second. Okay, let's see if this works. Oh, working. Beautiful. Good morning, Miss IDK as well. That was fast. That was very, very fast. Okay. So without further ado, what we're gonna cover today is the Ghost Eye. 1 second. See you guys. Yeah, you say perfect. You see it all. So Ghost 3.1 is launched, and I think at this point of time, since they're not that, it seems like it's all working. Blocks have been finalized. Everything is nice. We can move um, to go back to our normal updates about the network, about the growth of the nodes, potentially about some qualitative factors, and more quality KPIs regarding the health of the network. Of course, the more throughout internal discussions, the more we think about it, the more we understand that it's the internal discussions that are more important than anything else. Sorry, it's the quality metrics that are more important than anything else. Quantitative metrics are also good, but quality is so much more important. Specific reason is, just the conversion alone. Good morning, Dr. K. So just the conversion alone, where we had 140, almost 100, I think almost 150 nodes to be honest with Ghost 2.0. Now we are below 100. Um, After whatever 2 or 3 weeks of updates, and the thing is, these updates will be happening, right? So it will take place again and again, and it's important to make sure that more nodes convert to versions. And there's unfortunately no way out. Again, like these updates are just the nature of everything, right? So lots of lots of um, lots of tiny changes, right, that are completely impossible on other networks, will be possible with Ghost. So not every single tiny change will require a hard fork, right? Um, or even a soft fork, right? For this sense. But for example, like changing of APYs, changing of minimum balances, changing the curves, changing governance methods, right? Dealing with offenses, dealing with slashing, dealing with some bridging allocation, dealing with treasury, lots of those things, and that's like a lot, lots of those things that normally may be resulting in a soft fork or hard fork can be resolved with through updates through runtime. Specifically, how does it work is the transaction, like the changes are incorporated into a transaction. People vote, the users, whales, council, etc., vote on this specific transaction. This specific transaction gets pushed to the core. Boom, done. On-chain change. Thank you, substrate. Right? Not possible on Ethereum. Not possible on Bitcoin. Not possible on probably 80-90% of the protocols out there. Possible with substrate specifically, right? So that's great. At the same time, uh, not all changes are possible to be done through runtime. So therefore, the updates from one version to the next, etc., are just better off to be done through manual updates of the client for all nodes. And it's important to make sure that quality is driving the change, meaning that um, we don't see drops that may result in some type of attacks, temporary or not all permanent attacks, like 51% attacks and stuff like this, right? So that's very important for us to focus on quality, focus on as many distribution as deep distribution and allocation of nodes as possible from perspective of users and geography. So ideally, we have one node per user from a different geography, ideally physical machine or physical machine slash VPS combination. Why not, right? It's like there's definitely some healthy. Good morning, Prime. Good afternoon, Prime. there's definitely some healthy allocation between VPS and physical machines. At this point of time, for us, the physical machines and VPS allocation is actually quite interesting. Like, it's actually quite nice. So, all right. Now, again, just to reiterate what we experienced with the 3.1, this slide appears for the third week in a row, but still very important because we are going to be showcasing this stuff this week, next week, etc. So we're expecting, so the Genesis validator list has been updated. Great. Um, now you can become a validator by just being a node operator, right? So that's all 3.1. So wait for that, right? So it's gonna, like, it's coming soon, meaning the updates and the tutorials and guides, etc. are coming soon, how you can become a validator by just being a full node. Slashing, right? So how the slashing works, we're going to be discussing this not today, but again, the next coming weeks. New staking curve, you can already observe this in the Ghost Eye. I'll show this to you today. And Casper Genesis balance. So lots of nodes discovered that they do have Casper balance, to their surprise. Yes, they do. So with Ghost 2.0, only validators received initial balance, nobody else. But with Casper 3.0, with Ghost 3.0 and 3.1, we did experience essentially an extended Genesis block with balances. So we have both validators and nodes receiving balances. So you should check your balances out. Yeah, that's it. All right, now the big elephant in the room, and let's hope that it's going to work. The demonstration is going to work. Let me move to the, yes, you see it. Boom. Let me go to the Ghost Eye. And let's go through the Ghost Eye functionality. So it's slightly tiny. If you're going to be watching the recording, you can try to maximize it to some extent. Ideally, what you do is just you open this instance on your machines as well. How to do that? How to open the instance? The best thing is to go through the guide. The guide is extremely descriptive. Look at the guide one more time. It's insane. Cosmos put it all together. I think with assistance with Dr. K, definitely the team. So huge thanks to everybody who contributed. And overall, the guide is extremely freaking descriptive. Like, so it may be boring, whatever, maybe too long, but it's extremely descriptive. Like, everything is there. But let's go through it because, the impression is that lots of us are not familiar with the functionality, the existing functionality. What I'm going to be covering today is the functionality of the Ghost Eye that existed with Ghost 2.0. So this functionality exists for 1 or 2 months already, probably even 3 months. So, and the guides have been out there as well, but it's important for us to go over this one more time, or maybe for the first time, so you guys are aware of what's happening. So let's go. So first things first. On this, I need to move it down. Unless, wait a second. Don't you see it? Don't you not see it? Maybe you don't see it. Maybe that's the thing. Oh, you do see it. Okay. On the very, very top, testable, good morning. So on the very top, right? So first of all, we have this like panel, right? So this panel on the left, right? So I can, in this panel, I can just move. Oops. I can move it like this, right? So we have different tabs on this panel, this navigation panel, right? Now the bar above, what are we going to call, like some bar, right? Like, we didn't create a name yet, but this bar stays with us on all tabs. So what does it do? What does it all mean? So we have 16, I have 16 peers at this point of time, right? So we can go through, and find those 16 peers in telemetry. We can, do this journal CTL command to find that it's 16 peers. Or we can just see that it's 16 peers here. I have 16. You guys have your own number of peers. Crypto Bureau, good morning as well. So this is, just an important piece, right? So you have it here, synced. Synced means you are synced, meaning that there's nothing more to sync. So your ledger is fully synced. So you're a valid part of the network. How many validators? Today we have 13 validators, right? So that's how many validators we have. So nobody yet became a new validator, just the original 13 validators are the validators. That number will be changing, right? As nodes can become validators. Nominators. I personally have 0 nominators, meaning nobody committed Casper under my validator node. So there's not a single user yet who contributed to become a nominator. That number will also be changing. That is, so that's important. Like this navigation bar is very important. And again, once you go through every single tab, you will see the same exact, bar here, like whatever you're gonna call it. Think, yeah, status bar. There we go, status bar. That's the status bar. And now the important thing is the version of your ghost node. So the version of your ghost node is changing. Now, this looks like gibberish, right? Whatever. But this little version hash, right? 0.7.197 dash 8A0CBB94B4D. This is the version of the ghost chain testnet. And you will see this same version in the guide. It needs to match. And when you are updating your nodes, you will see. So lots of you, right? Like, again, like those of you who are technical, guys, does not apply to you, obviously. But those of you who are like less technical, you just try to follow the commands like as fast as you can. Like, oh, like you consider this whole task as, oh, we were told to update it, and there's this stupid guide. Oh shit, it has 20,000 commands. Oh, there's so many errors. Oh, it's like a pain in the ass to update it. Oh, blah blah. In reality, how you should be treating this is, yes, let's assume there are total 20 or 30 commands. Okay, what does each command mean? Right, like try to roughly Google it up, and once you Google it up, you'll understand that these commands are actually quite easy. In fact, they repeat a lot. From perspective of not every single argument in the function and the command repeats, obviously, so different commands, but the sense of it repeats a lot. Like, for example, like the quickest and dirtiest example is cd something something. So when you type in cd ghost, it means that cd ghost is a folder. So cd means go to that folder, right? So cd ghost, you go to that folder. Then you will see cd ghost / ghost node, or you will see cd ghost / ghost I, right? So you just go to the either ghost I folder, or you go to ghost node folder, right? Right. So that's all that is happening. It's really easy. So you should try to, like those who are less technical, like try to like understand these commands. They're not that difficult. They're really not. Even if you're not technical, like they're not that difficult. Like if you know how to use a phone, like you should be able to figure this out. So, but that's important, right? To make sure that your version fully in sync with the latest version that exists in the guide, right? And throughout the installation process, you will be asked to compare the hashes of your version. And so this hash will be always here, so you can always see, are you on the latest version or not? Also quite important. Okay, now this thing here, all right? So this again existed for 2 or 3 months now, but was never quite explained outside of the guide. So let me just go through this. So first of all, I can one second. I can move here. Like, how can I move within this specific tab? I move the keys up or down. That's it, right? Keys up or down. In order for me to move to all the bars on the right, I move my I press the right key, right? And now here I can kind of go in between. So what's happening is, so this is the block, the current block, right? So 1 point whatever 2 3.1 changes all the time, the seconds, right? This is how many latest blocks we have. We also see this when we type in journalctl command, right? So this is the latest block, 95749. This is the number of finalized blocks happens, right? What's also important is the current epoch 40. So 1 hour and 14 minutes. It was all converted to time, but it's reality, it's in blocks, right? And era number 6. So what does it mean is roughly, era is roughly a day, roughly 24 hours. Not exactly, but roughly 24 hours. Epoch is roughly 4 hours, right? So that's why we see epoch 1 hour and 14 minutes. So that's another 2 hours and 46 minutes for the epoch to be finished. Now we have 5 hours and 13 minutes from this current era, right? So we have another 19 hours for that error to continue. So that's the name of the game, right? So epoch, era. Why those are important? Those are important. Those timings are important for slashing, for becoming a validator, etc. Right? So there are certain rules associated with when your your balance will be unfrozen, if you got slashed, God forbid, or if you want to become a node operator, a validator, you're a node operator today, you would like to upgrade yourself to the node operator. One more time. If you are the node operator, you would like to upgrade to the validator when you will start staking your balance, right? Because validators do the job, but in return, they do get rewards. So when do my rewards start accumulating? So that's how this thing works. Quite simple. So move up and down here. Now, what is this like yellow and white, right? So yellow are the finalized blocks, right? And white are the blocks that are not finalized yet. Boom. So quite simple, quite interesting, very cool, right? So we just went over the status bar. We just went over finalized blocks, latest blocks, also era and epoch. Okay. Now, in order for me to go back to the navigation bar on the left, I press escape. So once I'm in escape, I'm back here. So we do have lots of new things under the validator tab and nominator tab. We're not going to cover it today because the goal is to cover the existing functionality that existed for 2 or 3 months. We will cover the new functionality, not on the next call, maybe like 2 calls from today, 3 calls from today. But most importantly, we'll first of all run this in the whales. It's important for us to ensure that you guys do understand, this functionality, the existing functionality, because we probably didn't cover it in detail. So let's go to the wallet. So the wallet existed for quite some time, and that's important to understand how it all works. So I'm under the wallet. So again, I'm pressing the right key, and now I'm in these different tabs. So let's go through these steps. Like, what do they mean? So as you can see here, total supply, minimum deposit. So those are quite important. What do they mean? So current supply, this is the total supply of Casper in circulation ever, not under my wallet, in the system, period. 2,300 Casper. That's how much Casper is in circulation. Now the question potentially is like, okay, so is this going to be the UI, the user interface, the mainnet UI, etc.? No, the answer is not. This is the nerdy type of UI that does describe all the functionality. And you should be messing with it. You should be playing with this. You should try to understand how it works, because why shouldn't you? It's so cool. And then, of course, we'll try to make it a lot more pleasing to the eye, a lot more, whatever, user-friendly. But it does not mean that you can just ignore this altogether. Like, try to understand how it works, because the functionality will not change much, right? That's important. Like, the appearance will change, but not the functionality. So you guys need to understand how this works. So total supply 2,300 Casper in circulation. It increases quite heavily, actually. It increases based on the APY, because APY, as you remember, is 69%. That's quite a lot. It means that every single month the supply is increasing by roughly, well, more than 5%. Almost 6%, which is quite a lot. So it will be increasing. Now, a minimum deposit, that's also very important. So there's this thing called existential deposit. What's the next existential deposit? Existential deposit is the minimum balance required for the wallet to be reflected on the ledger. Now, if, let's assume, so we have 0.000001. So we have essentially 6 decimal places, right? So if, let's assume, you have a deposit less than that, this wallet will not be reflected in the ledger. Why? Well, because that's the interesting part about Substrate, where you can more or less archive the wallets below the minimum deposit or existential deposit balance in order to save the space, in order to make sure that the space is safe. Like, the reason why Bitcoin Ledger is quite heavy, the reason why Ethereum Ledger is quite heavy, and if you notice, Ethereum Ledger is archiving on the annual basis, if I'm not mistaken, the ledger, because it's just growing and growing and growing. In order for our recommended requirements for the Ghost node to stay at roughly 256 gigabytes, which is what has been advertised, of course, the archive of these like wallets is important, because the majority of wallets just have very tiny balances, and they take the same amount of disk space as balances with as wallets with balances above the existential deposit. So that's a very, very smart on-chain methodology to archive nodes and therefore save a lot of space. So that's important, right? So another reason why that's important is, let's assume you have wallet A, wallet B, wallet C. So if you transfer from wallet, let's assume you have 100 Casper. So you transfer from wallet A to wallet B, right? So now wallet B has 100 Casper. And then you transfer from wallet B to wallet C. Now wallet C has 100 Casper. What happens is, effectively you transfer from wallet A to wallet C, bypassing wallet B. But wallet B does not have a balance anymore, right? Because all of it has been transferred to wallet C. So what's going to happen to wallet B is, wallet B, after the, if I'm not mistaken, after the era, I believe, will be removed from the ledger. So that's called existential deposit. That's one of the privacy features that Ghost has, which is a built-in stuff in Substrate. So you can move from wallet A to wallet C through wallet B, but wallet B is no longer on the ledger. So unless you are syncing the ledger and recording the ledger every single era as an outside recorder, you will not know that wallet B ever existed. All right, so that's quite an important reason to understand the existential deposit. That's just one of the privacy features, perhaps the most obvious one, the easiest one, but it exists, right? So that's important. Okay, now next, we are moving to. I may actually need to get your. You may need to open your Ghost Eyes. I may need to ask your participation today. I forgot to ask. So those of you who are in front of your machines, please log into Ghost Eyes, because you may need to send me your addresses in the chat. Okay, so the next things is the accounts, right? So how much balance do I have? So at this point of time, I have 31 Casper under this wallet. Okay, great. The reason why I have 31 Casper is because I'm one of the validators, so that was the genesis. However, lots of nodes received, I think, larger balances than this. So check your balances. Some of you guys received quite significant balances. The minimum balance required to become a validator is 6.9 Casper. Right? So if you have 31 or 20 or 10 or 7, you should be good enough to become a validator. If you don't, you should be asking around to get up to 6.9. Don't hoard it. Like, do not hoard it. This is for test, right? So, like, feel free to send your Casper to people in your network who ask, so they can also become validators. If somebody's running, let's assume 3 nodes, 4 nodes, 5 nodes, send them that 6.9 Casper, right? Don't be greedy. Send it to them so they can become all validators. Like, because we need more validators. The more the better. The more the merrier. Okay. So, let me just check. So yes. So we have this 31 Casper. I'm going to go over this nonce account free lot reserved in a second. But first of all, let's go through the address book. That's perhaps the most important thing. Right? So on the address book, the first, so if I go through these addresses, so we have these addresses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 addresses. These 10 addresses are addresses of validators. I believe this is what you see by default. Now, the reason why you see 10 instead of 13, that's legacy. Yeah, I think that's legacy. So, yeah, I think you should see, yeah, you don't see the other 3, but but these are the first 10 validators. So the first 10 validators, see how much legacy you have. That's nice. So what can we do with this address book? We can be adding addresses, we can be removing addresses, right? So there's this basic functionality. We can move addresses around. So the most important, fastest thing is Shift J, right? So if I move this stash, what I'm pressing Shift K, right? So for me to reallocate this specific address within the address book, Shift J, I'm just moving it down. So let's assume I want to move Proxmio up, Shift K, I'm moving it here. Then let's assume I want to move Scientio, Shift K, here's here. Then let's assume I want to move Starman low, right? So J, right? So Shift J, Shift K, Shift J. That's how you do it, right? So for whatever reason you need this, boom, you can have it. So okay, it is what it is, right? Now, how to send stuff. So I may need to ask you to one of you guys to please. I'll need three volunteers. I need one of you guys to please send me an address. You can maybe send this in Wales. or you can send this to the chat, up to you. Just send me one address, your address, so I can demonstrate how to send balances. Right? So let me wait for it, like maybe 30 seconds. I should have done it. In reality, I need 3 people to send the addresses. So whoever wants to be the guinea pig, please send your addresses, either in Wales or in YouTube. Yeah, 3 people we will require. So 3 different addresses. Do not be shy. And because if I don't get the addresses, I won't be able to demonstrate anything. So therefore, you guys just have to go to the guide and just read that. So we'll end the demonstration here. Let me wait, send addresses, and in the meantime, I'll check something. Boom. Ogen, was it Ogen? Ogen, thank you so much, appreciate it. So the first address, right? So this first address, sent in Wales. So what we're gonna do, and I'll need 2 more addresses, so please send your addresses as well after this. Ogen, if you feel like sending it from other wallets, you can do this as well. I'll appreciate it. But Mr. DK, I got it now on the machine. But whoever can, please do. So this address, let me go to my tutorial. So first of all, what I can do is, so while located on this most right panel, I can do Shift A, right? So Shift Add. And I can add the address. Now I'll just call it XYZ, right? So new name and address book, I call it XYZ. I press Enter, and I just do Control V. Boom. So that's the address that I received from XYZ, from somebody. Okay, I'm pressing Enter, and boom, now I have this XYZ wallet. Now, what's interesting about this wallet is the fact that this wallet is having no balance. But in reality, its balance is below 0.00001 Casper. That's important, right? So maybe it's not non-zero balance. Maybe there is a little bit of Casper, like tiny amount. However, what we do know is that it's definitely this amount of Casper on this specific wallet is definitely below the 0.00001 Casper. That's what's most important. That's very important. That's why we see this thing here. So this address will not be reflected on the ledger. And with all the privacy features associated with it, definitely saving of the disk space associated with the ledger, absolutely, but also essentially the concept of stealth addresses that is prevalent on Monero. That's what we can achieve. Similar thing here with Ghost. Okay, so what can I do then? I can go ahead and press Shift D. Boom, the address is removed. Oops. So again, Shift A, XYZ, Enter, Control V, boom. The address is here, and Shift D, I can remove it. I will require another address. Oh, thank you. So I got another address. Thank you so much. And then I'll need a third address from somebody. Again, if anything, Ocean, feel free to send me a third one. As well, it's up to you. I'll appreciate it, or anybody else, either in Wales or through YouTube. So, second thing we're gonna do is let me use the second address I received from somebody. Shift A. I'm adding. Let me call it XYZ. Well, let me call it actually whatever. Yeah, XYZ2. Right? Shall I call like this? Okay. And Control V. Boom. So now this second address is also magically stealth address. Now, what can I do with this address is I can send some balance to it. So how can I send balance to it if the address is in the address book? Simply navigate to this address and press Enter. So when I'm pressing Enter in the address book, right, the receiver is already filled. And there's an amount that I want to send. I want to send 1 Casper to this address. Enter. And again, I have 31 Casper, right? So I will, after I send 1 Casper, I'm supposed to have 30 Casper left. So let's see. It's going to take some time. Typically 2 to 3 block finalization, right? So it should be quite fast. I do get certain logs below, right, regarding the execution. Boom. So why do I have less than 30? I was supposed to have 30, right? But we forgot about the gas fee. The gas fee is important. The gas fee goes to whom? Exactly. The gas fee goes to the validators. Congratulations, just like it happens on any other blockchain. But, Ojan got it. Yeah, so Ojan got it. Congratulations, Ojan. Thank you so much for your participation. Well deserved. So, we need the fees, right? Like those other networks that say, oh, fees need to be very cheap and stuff. Yeah, they need to be cheap, but not cheaper than needed. Why? Because if there's not enough fees, validators will not be joining. So validators reward contain of two things: contains of the block rewards, which is minted but through inflation, and the transaction fees, right? So in Bitcoin, for example, right, like this whole halving, that's the halving of the block reward. So every single block the miner of Bitcoin gets the block reward plus the fees from the transactions for that specific block. Same thing on any other chain. So if the block rewards is just too high, then what happens is the inflation is through the roof. The token price without additional supply of dollars, right, or whatever, just due to increasing supply, the price drops. So that's just not good tokenomics, right? What happens in good networks, say the best networks such as Bitcoin, which is deflationary, yeah, the block reward keeps decreasing. Essentially, whatever era over, whatever between the halvings, essentially. Um, while the transaction fees are staying potentially the same, but since the value of Bitcoin is increasing, those those block fees in dollar terms are increasing, so therefore it just keeps making more sense to be miner of Bitcoin over the long term, right? And the block rewards will be finished, I think, by 2140 by year 2140. So after that, the block rewards will no longer be there, but the fees will be there, right? So that's the system. Now with Ghost, it's important that the fees are kind of cheap, but we cannot make it like way too cheap. Like they have to be good enough for the stakers, for the validators, therefore, to keep earning rewards. So very, very important. All right, so that's why you don't see 30 Casper, but you see 29.999 because that amount was paid. And boom, XYZ2 wallet now has 1 Casper. Congratulations to whoever sent me this wallet. Okay, third wallet. Again, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the third wallet. So what's the exercise? The exercise now is, so if I'm in the address book, I can simply just press enter, right? Okay. What if I'm not in the address book? What if I just want to send it? So if I just want to send it, don't want to add this address to the address book, I can press, one second, let me just open up, I'm just in between different tabs. Let me open up, so here I just press Shift T, boom. So in the receiver, when I press the enter, the receiver was filled for me. But since the receiver is not in my address book, I'm just pressing Control V, receiver, and enter, and 1, and enter. Boom. So now this will be recorded as well, the new transaction. So how to check that the transaction has actually been sent? There are multiple ways to send it. To check that, I mean, perhaps the easiest way is just to add that third address, right? So let's just call that XYZ3. I just edited, enter, that address, boom, enter. And it also just got 1 Casper. It had 0, now it has 1. So there are multiple ways how to send it. So again, you can edit to the address book, just press enter, or you can do Shift T, and then you can send Casper. Now, something that I was told that Dr. K actually found out is if you go through these addresses and press Shift I, you get information about nonce, total, free, locked, reserved. Right, that's pretty cool. Right, so Shift I, that's additional information. Darwin, here we go. Right. Oops, I pressed something else. I think. Well, let me send boom as well. Why shouldn't I? Okay. So now notice how something changed. You see how the nonce changed. The nonce. What is a nonce? Nonce is how many transactions was sent. Nonce is essentially kind of like how many transactions has been sent from this specific wallet. So remember the nonce was 0. If you maybe you don't remember, it was 0, now it's 3. So therefore we send transaction 0, transaction 1, transaction sorry. We send transaction 1, transaction 2, transaction 3. So we send 3 transactions. So nonce is how many transactions we had. By default, nonce is 0. So if nonce is 0, your wallet is essentially has never been activated. It was not active. Now, when you receive transactions, your nonce does not change. Your nonce changes only when you send transactions. That's the same for any chain, right? So that's just the stuff that you need to know. Now, what is all this stuff like the account and free, unlocked, and reserved? So account is how much Casper I have. So I have 28.995534. Here on top I have 996, which is rounded to 3 decimals, but in reality this is my more extended 6 decimal balance, 99534. what's my free balance? So free balance is essentially how much cash I can spend today, which is the same. Okay, like the same as my total amount. What is locked and reserved? Locked is how much Casper is locked by me, by my wallet, for certain functions on chain, such as staking, identity, and governance, mostly. So staking is how much I want to, how much I want to lock for staking. Now I'm a validated. How come there's nothing, locked since there's a validated balance? Well, Validator's actually got two different wallets. The first wallet is the Stash wallet, which used to be 31 Casper until today. The second wallet is 69 Casper wallet for staking. So hence, for this Stash wallet, 31 wallet, there's nothing yet allocated towards, well, nothing that I allocated towards the validator yet. So nothing allocated towards staking through validator or nominator. So therefore, it's zero for now. If I will be voting down the road, participating in Ghost governance, etc., this locked balance will change. Same thing applies to if I want to, participate in identity. Let's assume lock, my Twitter account under my wallet. I will also may potentially lock some Casper. Now reserved. This is essentially some of it happens against my will when I'm slashed. So a certain amount of Casper is essentially frozen at the moment. So how much Casper I'm not able to use. So let's assume 20, well, let's just round this to 29. So I have 29 Casper. Let's assume reserved is 2 Casper due to slashing, right? So therefore, out of 29, 2 I will not be able to use. So the free amount here will become 27. So I can only use 27. The 2 I won't be able to use unless this balance is either unfrozen and I receive it back, or unless this balance is slashed and then the treasury receives it. In any case, when your balance is frozen, it's still in your wallet, you just can't use it. Now, this reserved is also, the reserved balance will also include bridging. When you want to bridge something, some Casper will be essentially, under the bridge, so therefore it's also going to be under the reserve. So locked is for functionality like staking, identity governance. Reserved is for functionality such as slashing and bridging. What else I did not cover? Let me go through this. I think I covered pretty much all this, all this basic stuff. Maybe another one is, so if I go here, I can do Shift W, and I create a new wallet. Let's call it Ghost Whale. Ghost Whale 1, and now I have a new wallet. So I just create a new wallet. I can create many wallets, just like it's happening anywhere else. And as you can see, it's also the balance which is below the existential deposit, minimum deposit. So it's showing this thing. And as you can see there, for the nonce and all this other stuff, is also showing that same information, right? Because this wallet is kind of not registered on chain. Now, how is that possible that the wallet is not registered on chain? Well, with cryptography, there is infinite number of public and private keys. So it's impossible to therefore record all possibilities, right? Because if you do record it, there's not enough space on any disk to record all of it. So therefore, we're only recording wallets that have balances greater than the minimum deposit. Now, in order for us to kind of differentiate, right, like between wallets below, or like essentially, let me just make it clear or make it easier. Technically, hypothetically, by mistake, by accident, when you create a new pair, like let's assume you download Bitcoin Core, by complete coincidence, you can magically create a new wallet and randomly get to the wallet of Satoshi. Can that happen? Yes, it can. What's the probability of it happening? It's approaching zero, but can it technically happen? Yes. Essentially, private and public keys are open source. They don't belong to anybody, right? So it's not that Satoshi created some specific password that nobody can hack. It's just that anybody by mere mistake can get to that address. So when creating a new wallet, they can just create the wallet of Satoshi. Same thing with Ethereum, right? So by mistake, I could create the address of Vitalik. Is anybody protected against it? No, nobody's protected against it. It's just the probability is close to zero. That's why nobody kind of is bothered. So therefore, any wallet you can think of, any combination of these letters and symbols that and numbers they can see exists already. Question is, whom does it belong to? Who has the private key access, right? So because that's what's most difficult. So therefore, currently this address is not registered, just like not billions, but quadrillions and zillions of other addresses are not registered because there's just so many of them, right? And again, that's not Ghost only. That's any blockchain that uses this cryptography stuff, which is pretty much any blockchain. So just giving you a little bit of information. Okay, cool. We're done with this page. Done with the wallet tab for now. Let me go to escape. Am I here? Let me go to escape and go to validator tab. We're not going to go through details here. This is some of the stuff is new functionality. So I don't want to dive deep into this yet. We need to, finish the guides. I think the guides are already finalized, but publish them, go over them, etc. I think the most important thing right now that we all need to take into consideration is inflation. Inflation currently, which is essentially block rewards, is 69% APY. Right now, the current APY though is 39.15. So that's happening due to the curve. Remember that curve, which is not maximized yet. So inflation is 69, but current APY is only 39. It's not 69. So therefore, what has to happen is through certain manipulations of certain nodes becoming validators, more balance must be staked for this APY to increase. Remember that curve that some of you guys potentially didn't understand or ignored? Well, you shouldn't be ignoring it because your APY depends on it. If you ignore it, you will not be earning money, or you'll be not earning enough money, right? Like, let's just be real here. Enough tokens, therefore. So you need to understand those things because those things do translate into actual profit, right? In utility token of Casper or Ghost. Casper is completely utility. So again, we're not going to dive deeper into this, but just a very important thing that the network currently is underutilizing this thing. Why? Most likely because not enough Casper is being bonded because we don't have enough validators. We have lots of node operators who received a lot of balances. Now, from Ghost 2.0, there was not much of an issue because all Ghost went to validators, so all of it, majority of it has been staked. But even here, like so, you see how the final balance is the stake balance is 69 for the validator. If I go here to the wallet, I also have 31 under the stash. So, just the validators alone received 1,300 Casper, but the 1,000 Casper has been allocated, roughly 1,000 Casper has been allocated to the nodes. And if I remember correctly, the optimal point of bonding is at 69% of total supply. So when we multiply 2,300 by 69%, which is going to be roughly 2/3, that's going to be roughly 1,600. So 1,600 Casper must be staked to receive the highest 69% APY. And at this point of time, I believe around 1,000 is being staked. So we are lower by 800 Casper. So what needs to happen is lots of, either validators must stake additional balance of Casper to increase this limit, right? And therefore impact the APY, or node operators must become validators and also stake. And the reason why that's important is the 69% of the total supply in circulating supply that must be staked is because the more balance that is staked, the less the selling pressure. Therefore, the network can maintain its growth, etc. But not only that, if 100% of Casper is being staked, then it's also not good because the economy needs to have certain velocity. So for transactional volume, for participating in smart contracts, for bridging, blah 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 blah. So that's another important feature of Ghost that does not exist on other blockchains, which is how to maneuver between having like a balance within the Ghost, but then that balance is to some extent being rebased by the bridging balance. Because every single time somebody is bridging, they artificially create new supply, which does impact the curve. So how to balance in between? The only chain that has this issue is Ghost, because that's true innovation. On this positive note, I'm gonna pause with the Ghost Eye please ask me any questions or ask questions in Wales. So the best thing is go to Ghost Eye, make sure it's the latest version. The command sign in Wales. Update your Ghost Eye. Play with it, ask questions. That's important. That is impacting your bottom line, literally. Like with the APY now, it's literally impacting your bottom line. Now we're gonna finish. We're gonna end with let's go back to PowerPoint. We're gonna end with this final slide of Ghost Ghost Wednesdays. So Ghost Wednesdays, I think we'll start this Wednesday. Hopefully, let's try to get it this Wednesday. We need to create a. So the document is there. It will be shared. There are 2 additional polls that we'll go through. So the first poll is about the timing for Wednesdays, what time works best, and the second poll is which topic shall be discussed from the list of topics that are already prepared. It's probably going to be just an hour. It's probably going to be in Telegram, within Telegram. So you don't need to go to Twitter Spaces or YouTube. It will be on Telegram. So you just join the call. And the point of Ghost Wednesdays will be participation. Do not come there. Okay, you can come there to learn, but we must change this approach. Like, if everybody's like, if this is just another call where we must present updates, it's not gonna work. Like, it's really not gonna work. The culture is, if you're coming on this call, you must participate. So prepare the list of questions for that specific agenda ahead of time. Send the list of questions. The questions must be specific, thoughtful, with feedback. And we must get whales who come to these calls. Because if you don't get whales, like that's an initiative. Maybe the group is not too large yet for us to get enough of this participation. But ideal scenario is we have a number of whales. I don't know, 20, 30, 50 whales come, and we discuss stuff. Like everybody discusses. In which case, an hour will not be long enough. In which case, yeah, we maybe do goals daily. We do every single day, right? So it all depends on participation. Super quick update regarding why this participation is important, why the equality is important. So this other blockchain, Berachain, just launched. Lots of hype around this. They raised 140, 150 million dollars. Okay, some members of our community have been pitching this Berachain for quite some time aggressively. The first thing that I see, they launched 2 or 3 days ago. The first thing I look at is how many today. I didn't look at this a year ago, but today the first thing I look at is how many validators they have. 200 validators. 200 fucking validators with $150 million budget, with all due respect. And when we looked through the composition of those validators, that composition was very similar, potentially to some extent worse than what we have. It consisted of lots of people we see from other node runners groups who run stuff just for incentives with no understanding about or no desire to understand the fundamentals. So that's what we're dealing with. So we are at 100 today on a testnet with no incentives. Incentives do exist, but they're not direct. Yet Berachain with massive balance, lots of hype, 200. Come on. That's the reality of this. So we do have a real fighting chance, but that's the importance of being extremely active. The community must be active. Let me respond to a question from Mr. IDK. We pause after this. When you create a new wallet, how do you get the keys? So you get the public key, and how do you get the private keys? To migrate it. So we'll demonstrate it. That's a great question. You should ask this question, Wills. That's amazing. That's an amazing question. So the public key, you saw it right away. The private key, we need to show you how to get that. But that's a great question. Very good question. Please ask in Wales. Those of you who are not getting your answers in Wales, just be a little bit more persistent. Maybe repost your answers. Don't do it like every single hour. Maybe do it every single day, right? So the community will get back to you because lots of messages are all lost. Okay, on this positive note, we're going to pause. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Any questions in Wales? See you guys next week. Have a good one. Bye-bye.